Oh, yes, it is Anthony Rivera of the Subway to Shea podcast. And as you can see, Keithy, as my co-host from Shea and Sons, is not with us today, but I brought a good friend to the show, Brian Fonseca, to join us. Brian, man, last time we talked just a couple of days ago, having to sit through 3 hours, a couple of rain delays of Team Puerto Rico's loss to Canada. But we are here for what is now going to be the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic. How you doing, man?
It was a real bonding experience. A better one, I think, even in a loss than last year, where we were basically like, "Hey," before the Subway Series, we were basically like, "Hey, both of these teams kind of suck right now, and it's not looking great." And then they had a they had the trade deadline, which thought was going to go differently, but we're going to talk about the WBC. Even though I will tell people I'm a Met fan too. Um, I'm optimistic about the season. Not very optimistic about our team, Team Puerto Rico, in this matchup against Italy, though, given what has happened to our roster.
Interesting enough too, because I only seen one re-rankings of the teams that are in the quarterfinals, and they had Puerto Rico above Korea, which I was a little bit shocked about since Korea
I could
brings
see
the
that.
firepower with the bats. But I guess they're going pitching over hitting to see that Puerto Rico is there. Um,
Mhm.
you can catch Brian at Brian Fonseca NY. You can see it right there on the screen. Sports analyst, host, catch him on New York Post Sports, catch him on the Action Network. He's got a whole bunch of shows. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I figured we'd start today's show talking about Mark DeRosa and the Team USA. I call it the bad look. He's had an interesting 72 hours, and he just doubled down on his comments.
Mhm.
I'm just like shocked by it all. All started with the MLB Network appearance, where, and obviously he works on MLB Network. He thought that the USA had already clinched their spot after going 3-0, which they didn't because Mexico was 2-1 and Italy was 3-0 at the time. So it was very interesting that he would think that they had already clinched that spot. And then during the post game press conference, saying that his players were sluggish because they were partying late into the evening, doesn't know the rules of how to get into this. It just feels like they were just not prepared, or they don't want to be there, kind of. I don't know, but I know this may probably be the end of Mark DeRosa managing to Team USA, and probably getting a shot at managing in MLB.
I think that, I mean, next time send minor leaguers then if you're not gonna care. Like
Yeah.
like they used to do in the Olympics. The Olympics will be back, by the way, in a few years, after taking a cycle off. The quote was ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win this game, even though our ticket is punched to the quarterfinals. And it was not, as you just outlined. Because Mexico actually plays Italy tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game. And then later on, he basically, tried to say that it was false, that he knew the rules and, tried to play cleanup or whatever. I mean, they could still obviously win this entire thing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna lose to Canada. You know what I mean? It'll be annoying if they win the whole thing, not caring.
Yeah.
Like just as a consumer, and as somebody who covers this stuff, but like they're favored. I just checked against Canada by 4.5 runs. That in baseball, that's a lot. That's a smackdown. That's what we see. That's what we see the Dominican Republic lineup do to basically everybody except Venezuela, who is really good also, but they beat them too. 4.5 is no joke. By the way, DR, to give people perspective, DR is favored by 4.5 against South Korea, also like the same, which is basically to. I'm not telling people to bet. That's not what the information is for. I'm telling you what the relative expectation is out there
Yeah.
for these games, contextually. Canada's played well, by the way. Um, we kind of talked about beforehand, like who we expected earlier this week, who we expected to emerge out of the group like pre-tournament, and we both thought, yeah, it'll be Puerto Rico. and then Canada or Cuba. And I don't think Canada's going to lie down in this matchup at all. But I do think that Team USA might just have too much talent and ability to not win this.
Yeah, maybe they think there's now a pathway after what Italy did to them. I would be watching that game like a hawk if I'm Canada, breaking down whatever I can to try to figure out how to beat this U.S. team, because the score became 8-6, but it wasn't. It didn't feel like that for about 90% of the game. It was like 8-0. Italy smacking down U.S. But I guess they won't be partying. They'll be ready to go. They'll be. I don't know. I don't know what the pitching matchup is just yet. But USA's
I'm seeing Logan Webb for Team
okay.
USA, and then I'm seeing Soroka for Canada. Actually,
Interesting.
Mm.
That would be an interesting matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it would be like all hands on deck for Canada to try to get through.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure just the nation wants to bounce back after what happened to both hockey teams in the Olympics. So baseball's a little bit different. And, you even take it a little bit further, like Bryce Harper's comments too, like the Olympics being better than the WBC. I mean, there's going to be 6 teams in the Olympics. 6. Okay.
As somebody who actually like covers international basketball as well, and just international sports as a whole, like just because it's the Olympics doesn't mean it's like a more prestigious competition. For example, soccer, the World Cup, way more prestigious than the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to say nobody cares about Olympic soccer. That would be kind of disingenuous, but more people care about the World Cup, both men and women, than the Olympics. With basketball, the Olympics is still bigger to America than the World Cup. The rest of the world cares about both. And I would venture to say more of them may care about the World Cup because 32 teams play in the World Cup and 12 play for the Olympics. It's very hard to qualify for the Olympics in basketball. It's very hard. That's why Puerto Rico making it last cycle was a big deal. It was the first time in 20 years. And there's a lot of nations that have never gone that play in World Cups. So baseball, the same thing. You'll have the majority of teams in the World Baseball Classic. Think about that. We have 20 teams in this tournament. We're going to have 6 in the Olympics. So you could say, yes, the Olympics are more prestigious, but because it's harder to get into them. But you shouldn't just care about the Olympics. Like, that's the attitude USA basketball has, the men specifically. And this is why they keep losing in World Cups and they look stupid in World Cups. As a matter of fact, Canada beat them for a bronze medal in 2023. And that was a team that had like Jalen Brunson. That was a team that had like Josh Hart, Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Ingram, like good players. Anthony Edwards, I think, may have been on that team as well. Tyrese Halliburton may have been on the team as well. I'm trying to remember everybody because time just like it doesn't exist anymore. But like with baseball, okay, at the same time, it's during the baseball season, and it's like, how are you going to execute this and bring, like, major league players don't typically play in the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like when they actually do it, like not the high level ones. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Hey, that's the thing too. Like, you're putting together this like superstar roster. Like, the expectations are that you're going to steamroll most of these teams. Basketball, baseball, like that's the expectations. The fact that they're just not taking it seriously, even the World Cup, it's just like, the chances of United States winning the World Cup are probably the hardest, I would assume.
In men's soccer, yes.
In men's soccer, the women's have won multiple times, but men's soccer, it's really hard, and American fans just don't attach to it. I feel like because of that, which is a weird way to go about things. And you have Japan being a super team here, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and USA has every chance to win this thing. And I don't know. It's just it's weird that not more, I guess, Major League Baseball fans, considering that their players are in it, take it more seriously and have more fandom to it. And it doesn't help that, Bryce Harper's making these comments. Mark DeRosa said this stuff earlier. I mean, like, you're trying to promote this event, right? Like, this is a Major League Baseball sanctioned.
Yeah, it's like, why show up then? Just let other players play. There are plenty of other American players who could benefit from this more, like who are probably marginal level major leaguers or just starting level major leaguers who, like, maybe they have an OPS of like sub 800. You know what I mean? Who are just
Yeah.
trying to like potentially play for, maybe they're in a contract year. Like, all right, then take a seat, Bryce Harper. You don't need to do this. Like, if you're not going to take it seriously, why compete? Like, there's so many people, and following just all the other countries in these various competitions, like Serbia, very proud basketball country. And if Yugoslavia still existed, might have the best basketball team in the world right now, because you would have Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and so on and so forth. But like Serbia, very proud basketball nation, they had a parade
Yep.
after winning a silver medal in the World Cup. And Nikola Jokic didn't even play. They lost to Germany in the final in 2023, and they had a whole thing in Serbia. You know what I mean? Because this is what it means to a lot of different people. There were people crying in the audience when Puerto Rico qualified for the Olympics in 2024. And you see it even last night with DR and Venezuela. And first of all, people in this country complain about like sportsmanship and theater and whatever. There was sportsmanship in that game. Guys were dapping each other up, talking to each other mid game, because this is what it looks like when you watch like the Winter League baseball in DR, Venezuela, Mexico, PR, so on and so forth. And everyone's having a good time, but they're also competing at the highest level. Like, we've seen it in the World Baseball Classic a number of times. The game that Edwin Diaz got hurt in the quarterfinals, or not in the quarterfinals, before the quarterfinals in 2023, where PR beat DR, the entire game, there's music in the audience.
Yeah.
Between both fan bases. Like, people care about this stuff and they want to have a good time and promote the game and do a great job. So like, get out of here with your military attitude. Like, like, what are we talking about, Bryce Harper? Like, just no, who's forcing him to play? Like, who's forcing him to play?
Yeah.
If this is going to be the case, who's forcing Mark DeRosa to manage? Like, if you want to have some respect for the game, have some respect for the game.
Have a little respect, have a little integrity. If I'm MLB, I mean, I have to at least be like, all right, if you don't want to do this, then don't do it. Sit this one home, be at spring
Right.
training, and get ready with your team.
Right.
DeRosa just be on TV. Like, if you're not going to take this seriously, it just comes off immature. And there's just so many players that could promote this game. That's why Ohtani is the number one player in the world in baseball, because he comes out, he plays, he shows the energy, whether it's in MLB, whether it's playing for Japan, and it's just a whole lot different. So, I feel like there has to be, you talk about what happened between DR and Venezuela. I mean, that whole issue with Cal Raleigh and Randy Rosarena, the handshake, these guys are teammates. And I don't know how angry Randy Rosarena really was, or if this is like a bit or something, but like, it made national news now. And now we're taking away from what is supposed to be a special event. I mean, there was already enough stuff a month before dealing with the insurance and players not being able to play, to now lead into stuff like this after this tournament got off to a roaring start. If you watched Pool C between Japan, Korea, Australia, Chinese Taipei, and I'll throw Chechnya in there too. I mean, they didn't get steamrolled through all the games. They played hard, all teams. I mean, to the fact where, Chinese Taipei, had a 2-2 record. They won their final game, and like, all the players are crying on the field with the slight chance that they may make it to the next round. It wasn't guaranteed, and they eventually, Korea made it. But like, Chinese Taipei, the players, the fans, they're just like all into it. Australia got a standing ovation, even in loss and not making it. They like just missed by a run, the run differential. Like, it's just like a whole lot different for everyone else. I guess, if the United States doesn't want to be a part of it, then do you just take him out? Like, I don't know. I know a lot of fans just don't want major league players in there, but if you don't have major league players in there, I don't know what the interest is in the WBC at that point.
And I saw Randy Rosarena reposted on Instagram from William Contreras. I'm forgetting who and who was dapping up here, but it was basically some sportsmanship between DR and Venezuela. He reposted that on his account, notably. I think Julio Rodriguez did the same also with the Seattle Mariners. So it's weird. And, we have to consider that baseball locker rooms also football locker rooms, and really any sport, but probably these two in particular for what I'm about to say. Like, there may be some tensions here in
Yep.
terms of like what's going on between where this person's from and where this person's from, country and country. Like, and these things kind of boil over. We know this in following the Mets that there may have been some issues between Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor based on, their worldview. And some of that will boil over into a locker room, especially if you're spending hundreds of days with this other person on the same team. Like, these things are going to come up. We're not in an era where like, oh, you just ignore politics and religion because these are the things you don't talk about anymore. It's like it's in your face every day, so it's going to boil over at some point. So I don't know if like the issues supposedly will still couch it, but like between Randy Arozarena and Cal Raleigh, sort of go into that. But let's remember, Randy Arozarena represents Team Mexico and is also Cuban. And Cal Raleigh is neither of those things. He's very much American. So I don't even know if it's that deep, but it's like something I think about because there are athletes who they have more tensions about these things now, it feels like, than before. And I know this because, like, one, you talk to enough people, you get wind of these things, and two, like, if you're in a workplace where there's different thought, like, these kinds of things will happen. Some people coexist, some people can't ultimately. So, I mean, to tie back to the World Baseball Classic, it's a great tournament. It's a beautiful tournament, like the best of it, right? But right now, the Team USA negativity, I guess, is casting a shadow on this for some people, and they've
Mhm.
gotten a lot more online backlash than I thought they would have, from people saying like, "Hey, I like, why are they here?" Like, and people making fun of them after they lost to Italy, and it's like, this is what you kind of set yourself up for, in a tournament like this. So, maybe it might not mean anything, and maybe they just beat Canada and just roll to the finish and what have you. But I just think, like, if you're gonna play in a tournament, like, respect the tournament, because you see how much it means to other teams around the world who just don't have as much. Like, they don't have as many resources. It takes a lot to qualify for a spot like this. We see it in World Cups all the time, and we're gonna see it, by the way, again this summer with the FIFA World Cup, and how much this means to 47 other countries, basically
Yeah.
outside of the United States.
Yeah. And I just hope that when you talk about the way that players in DR and Venezuela, Mexico, how they rally around each other and how they play the game with a lot of fun, and then there are fans here that don't like that, which is fine. But like, don't tell them how to fan. Like, I won't tell the US team not to be, statues and put your head down. Like, if that's what
Corporate,
you want to
yeah,
do, then do it. That's your prerogative. That's fine. But you
sure.
know, don't let the fun out of the bag there.
I mean, but it's very there are a lot of people who want to police how other people, like, oh, you should, like, people have different ideas on how to respect the game. We've seen this with Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points and all the Kobe stands being mad at him because he, quote unquote, went for it, and it's like, it's a record, like, or I guess Kobe's record, but second all time. Why would you not? You know, uh, which I'm not gonna. We'll keep it to baseball here, or at least world international competition. But I do think that, yeah, like, there are people who want people to fan in a way that's comfortable to them. And it's like, yo, it's just different in other places. Like, if you watch a winter league game, especially a playoff game, like, yeah, you're gonna see insane bat flips. You're gonna see a lot of emotion. You're gonna see, like, what you saw from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. yesterday, where he hit a home run and didn't even move until the ball went over the fence. And, like, is that showboating? Is that whatever? And it's like, yeah, but also, we don't live forever. Like, you got to have fun where you can. And in these types of competitions, one, he knew it was a home run. So, like, I give him credit for that, for hitting the damn thing. Right. And then two, it's like, yeah, like, this is how people want to carry their business. There's a reason why, like, a lot, you see it every year more and more. You see a lot more people being like, damn, this tournament's fun. Like, I feel like it grows all the time. Like, maybe there was a dip because 2006 is new, it's fresh, and it's like, oh, what's this? Then there's a little bit of a dip, and then it comes back, especially post COVID, because we didn't have it in 2020. In
Yeah.
2023 and 2026, like, I feel like there's been a lot more attention, at least socially, like, on this tournament. and a lot more people being like, damn, I wish Major League Baseball was more like this. And if that's the takeaway, I think that's a good thing, because I think people want baseball to just be fun year round, not just here and then in the playoffs, because baseball in the playoffs has been awesome these
Mhm.
last couple of years, especially this past year with, Seattle, the Dodgers, obviously Toronto going on an epic run and having the clutch moments that they did. But you want it to be like the entire season. Like, you just want to have fun watching baseball. And I think that's what this boils down to for a lot of people consuming this tournament.
Yeah, I think the last tournament, that U.S. Japan final, really kind of kickstarted a new era for WBC, and this tournament this time around, just the pool play. I mean, we've only been through pool play, and it's been fantastic.
Sure.
Yes, there's been a lot of beat downs and all that stuff, but there has been some very fun moments part of this game, and we'll get into some of that in a little bit. I want to go over just recap the pool play that we have had, and I want to bring up this graphic that I have from the standings here. Obviously, Canada takes the pool A, which we watched Puerto Rico kind of. I don't know if it was resting players or, like Future said during the live stream, about it being, more about the restrictions on what
Maybe.
players could be used and stuff like that. It could go either way. They had multiple days off, which, I mean, today they had off, yesterday they had off. But I really kind of wanted them to run the table and win that game against Canada. They just couldn't come through. But looking at all these teams, I think it's safe to say that Puerto Rico kept every game close outside of the first game where they won 5-0 against Colombia. Everything else was close. 4-3 over Panama in 10. And that special game where they won in extra innings with the home run. 4-1 over Cuba, 3-2 to Canada. There was no real beatdowns going either way.
That feels like the Mets before they got Yoenis Cespedes in 2015. That's how I felt. I was like, geez, we literally just need one bat. And then it's like, hey, here's Yoenis Cespedes, and Wilmer Flores can stay, and here's 17 home runs in the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
Happy World Series berth. Oh God, I miss 2015. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's like, geez, man. And part of it, we've talked about Ramos and just kind of just not really being there. Nolan Arenado finally broke his slump with multiple, I think 3 hits last game. And he was one of the only signature guys who actually played, from the get-go, because they just sat a lot of other dudes, which is interesting. Like Nolan Arenado has seemingly no restrictions, but other guys at different stages of their career do. It's clearly a pitching dominant team. Like, part of me could also say, hey, like maybe the lineup just has to, maybe it's just been a slump collectively, and maybe they'll start to actually put it together. I don't know. I think that when you have I feel like they have enough hitters to put up, they could put up 6 or 7. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you're also, and part of this is just leaving runners on. I don't know to what degree they're leaving runners on compared to other teams. I need to look at that. But in watching their games, it definitely feels like they're not cashing out on all their opportunities, because we keep seeing guys get to second, get to third, and not being able to get punched in. You get somebody on first and third, 1 out, and you strike out, and then you can't get a sac fly anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not on the table. And as a matter of fact, I think in the very first game against Colombia, they got their first run on an error, and then they had a rally, but then that was it. Like, all their runs came in 1 point, basically.
Short spurts. Like that fifth inning where they scored the 5 runs, the ninth inning and ninth and 10th inning, game 3. I think it took them a couple of innings before they took the lead on Cuba, and then they just couldn't. They left people on base. They couldn't muster anything against Canada, and Canada takes this thing, winning 3 games to 1. But they had the win against Puerto Rico, which had them at the top of the pool. They beat Colombia 8-2. They had a 4-3 loss to Panama. They beat us Puerto Rico 3-2, and then they had the 7-2 win over Cuba. And Cuba had their best pitcher on the mound in Livan Moniello, who's a really top pitcher in this World Baseball Classic. So Canada is going to face the United States. Maybe that's better, right? Like I kind it sucks to say I kind of wanted to avoid the US, but just the way that that Puerto Rico has not been able to score, I don't know if the pitching is enough, because like 1 or 2 runs could be the X factor in, Puerto Rico losing this game, because we just haven't seen consistent hitting. I mean, they're guys that are supposed to be the big time, and Nolan Arenado, Helio Ramos, they have not been hitting. Yeah, Arenado had 3 hits the other day, but they're all singles. Like we had 1 home run. Of all the home runs that came out of this tournament, Puerto Rico only had 1. And we know all the issues with insurance, and I don't know how much of like it's like a conspiracy against, Puerto Rico, but Francisco Lindor wasn't going to play because he had to have the hand surgery. I don't know what the deal is with Correa. The bias stuff is ridiculous. So he probably could have been on the team. And they're dealt this kind of hand with really no offense. And I guess that the playing at home for the first time since, what was it, 2013, playing in Hiram Bortham Stadium, that really was the factor, I think, for them, right? Like that home advantage really turned things around. So a little concerned when they go to Houston, how if the Puerto Rican fans really go there and root them on like they were in Puerto Rico. They got to be at least happy to get to the quarterfinals, considering that the offense was depleted from the start.
Yeah, and curious to see what the fans are going to be like there. We definitely have Puerto Ricans in Texas now.
I'm pretty sure they'll travel out there too. It's just like
it's a short flight from Florida. Yeah. But it's not home, right? It's not, it wouldn't be a home fit. Like it wouldn't be like what it is for Mexico, for example. Or Team USA for that matter, right? So it wouldn't be that. And I wonder what the ratio there is going to be between Puerto Rican and Italian fans. Now, if the game was in New York, forget it. It would probably be 50-50 and the stadium would be full. Like it would not have enough room for all of the Bronx and parts of Queens and parts of Brooklyn to fill the stadium. But I think yeah, Italy has a serious lineup. I think we would agree they probably have the better lineup, projecting that they have the better lineup, and pitching wise, it's going to have to be the decider. Puerto Rico's pitching numbers are really good. Like they have a great ERA. I think they have the best ERA in the tournament so far out of everybody that I looked right before this. Seth Lugo, according to DraftKings, is apparently starting this game, which I think that's a good card to have. It's like, can Seth Lugo give you 3 solid innings, then you hand it off? One of the other storylines here was they couldn't get Jose Barrios. He didn't get cleared by the insurance either, and they thought that they would have him for the quarterfinals. He's not going to be there. Not that, again, pitching has been a strength, but you can never have too much pitching. At any level of baseball, it's like, listen, if you just don't allow the other team to score, that increases your chances of winning. It's just basic, like 5th grade level stuff. And Jose Barrios being there would have been, I think, a big addition, especially for this matchup. If you have like Lugo and Barrios and Edward Diaz potentially available, and then maybe Elmer Rodriguez has had a couple days off at this point. Fernando Cruz had a good outing for them last time. Like you have all these different guys, and there are other arms I haven't even gotten to. But we'll see. They are slightly, very, very slightly, very, very slightly favored right now. Which
pitching,
yeah. I think that's a little bit of disrespect of the Italian national team, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Italy hasn't scored less than 7 runs. They beat Brazil 8-0, Great Britain 7-4, the US 8-6, and then 9-1 over Mexico to go 4-0 and run the table.
And PR hasn't scored more than 5. If I'm not mistaken. So
So it'll be a very interesting matchup between the two teams, and for our hopes, I mean, I hope Puerto Rico comes through. When you mentioned Jose Barrios, I think about maybe a half hour ago, there was a news report that he has inflammation in his elbow, so he was not going to be able to partake in this anyway. So It sucks having. Maybe that's what it just is. It's just like our team was just they're really Mets, right? They're just riddled by injury,
Just so banged up.
so banged up, and the insurance wasn't going to cover it.
Maybe. I would venture to guess there are probably other teams that face similar issues. But like I don't know if it's that black and white, but it could be. I'll allow myself the possibility. We now know more about the Francisco Lindor situation. I think the Javi Baez one is
Yeah,
just
that's
silly
ridiculous.
because that's just weed, and it's like weed in 2026. You know what I mean? Like a boxer, Keyshawn Davis, won a fight in 2023 against Nahir Albright, and they've ruled it a no contest after because he tested positive for weed, as if it were a performance enhancing drug. He didn't get suspended. They just took the win off of his record because he tested positive for weed. And it's like, I don't know if weed helps you box. Maybe it relaxes your anxiety. So maybe that's a performance enhancer in that sense. But I also think it's good for you in that sense. I'm not somebody who smokes or anything, but I wouldn't be banning people or taking things off their record for weed. Different types of drugs, maybe not weed though.
We talked about USA finishing 3-1, and 15 to 5 route over Brazil, 9-1 over Great Britain, 5-3 over Mexico, and then the 8-6 loss to Italy. I feel pretty good about them against Canada, although I'm pretty sure like a lot of fans are now against the United States because they're just haven't seemed to be into it. It would
And
be
for other
interesting.
reasons, I'm sure.
I'm for other reasons, but I'm interested in seeing if Canada can upset them, especially since this has been like these last few months has been U.S. versus Canada in these high-profile world sports. It'd be interesting to see if they could come through and upset the United States.
It would just be funny if like Team USA wins in hockey, but Canada wins in basketball and baseball,
right?
because they beat them in basketball in 2023, with like Shea and like real guys on their team. They didn't have Jamal Murray, but still. And then and then now they would win in baseball. I'd be surprised. I think this would this be a bigger upset than South Korea beating the Dominican Republic? I kind of think
I
DR has
think it
proven to
is.
be so DR has proven to be so good that I don't I don't know, but I think South Korea versus Canada, I think like South Korea would be like seen as the favorite for that game. I think.
I think because of South Korea's offense and what they could do offensively, then it's a little bit closer. I don't know how the pitching hasn't been great for Korea, which we'll get into in a little bit, but I think it's a little bit closer. So I feel like the biggest of the upsets would be Canada beating the United States, because Japan and Venezuela, that could be just as close as was Dominican Republic, Venezuela. And then when it comes to Italy and Puerto Rico, that could be a toss up. I mean, it's no guarantee that Italy's offense can stay that strong with now into the second round a top pitcher. Who did they face? Italy faced Brazil in the first matchup. I mean, you're getting Brazil's best pitcher, but Brazil went 0-4. They weren't really great. Then they beat the bricks off of Great Britain. I mean, this is a totally different team. Like this is Italy's true test right here. If you can beat Puerto Rico's pitching, and if you can beat Puerto Rico's pitching, now I'm starting to buy a little bit more into Italy. So I want to see how they do after this matchup against Puerto Rico. Now you're looking at Pool C. Obviously, Japan was going to run the table like they did, 4-0, and they beat up on Chinese Taipei 13-0. South Korea was 8-6. That one was close. So if you want to talk about Dominican Republic and Korea playing against each other, you just look at the way that they played Japan, and it was a very close game. Very close, very high scoring. That's something that we could probably see. They took care of business against Australia, and obviously 9-0 over Chechnya. Now Korea had an 11-4 victory over Chechnya, 8-6 loss, obviously, to Japan, like we mentioned, 5-4 loss to Chinese Taipei, and then 7-2 over Australia to get into the quarterfinals. that whole bracket, probably that pool was probably one of the closest and best to watch, just because you have teams like Australia that haven't made it into out of the second round or into the second round. Chinese Taipei has a nice little team going, and they won a tournament called the Premier 12 back during the year, beating Japan. So you had all that involved, and obviously Japan still makes it through, but it'll be interesting to see Japan and Korea, how they fare the next rounds. Japan's not as strong as a team as it was, but they will be sending Yamamoto to the mound for this game. And then after that, he goes back home to the Dodgers. He's going to be done. So he won't be around for a final to pitch an inning or two or anything like that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I do see the pitching matchups here. Italy, I'm not seeing a starter for yet, but I am seeing Yamamoto versus Ranger Suarez
That's
for
going to be good.
Japan and Venezuela.
I like that.
I love that. That probably is the game of this round in terms of like the best quality competition. PR in Italy, odds wise, is closer, and I honestly think that's, if any game is a pick 'em, it probably is that, because it's like, how real is Italy's hitting versus PR's pitching, and will their bats wake up? Like, will PR's bats be able to wake up? We'll see who starts in that game for Italy. I'm curious to see. And PR has Seth Lugo, who we know very well, and can give you 3 damn good innings. We mentioned Logan Webb versus Soroka, and then Hyunjin Ryu versus Christopher Sanchez for DR. DR's lineup is so ridiculous where I almost don't care who starts.
Yeah.
I'm like, are they going to put 5 runs on you in the first 2 or 3 innings? And then what? You know what I mean? Like, every game I'm just seeing like 4 or 5 home runs. Like,
well, Christopher Sanchez had that rough start against Nicaragua. So this is a whole totally different offense. They were threatening multiple innings, and Korea's not gonna run themselves out of innings. So that's gonna be to see if Christopher Sanchez can bounce back will be huge for the Dominican Republic. And if they get out of this round, I think they're going to be fine against the United States and whoever it is that they would meet in the final. And let's talk about Dominican Republic and Venezuela, because obviously DR ran the table. 12-3 over Nicaragua, 12-1 over the Netherlands, 10-1 over Israel, and 7-5 over Venezuela. I mean, outside of that game where they scored 7 against Venezuela, 10, 12, 12. Like,
yes.
Can they keep that offense up?
Maybe not against Ryu initially, but after that, once you get past him, like, maybe this is one of their slower starts, or maybe they just destroy him because they just do that. Like, look, so the first game of the World Baseball Classic, they had Julio Rodriguez batting 7th. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, this is crazy. And they didn't even start him in the game against Venezuela.
They got him starting 7th. We're just excited for Martin Maldonado to get a single and to help out PR with an RBI single, man. That those lineups, whether it's US, whether it's DR, Venezuela, or Japan, man, those are some superstar lineups they got thrown out there.
They're not even playing O'Neal Cruz like that, who got a home run recently. And
granted, 2.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He has 2 home runs. He granted, he did not have a great season last year in the majors. But I think if we're all just looking at O'Neal Cruz, and if he stays healthy, like, there, I still think there's like a ceiling there that he can hit. But we'll see. But I think with DR Venezuela, like, that to me was like, it's going to be unfortunate for the loser because they have to play Japan. I'm also not writing off Venezuela in that game, though.
No.
Like, I'm just not at this point. Right now, that's actually, like, Japan, as good as they are, and they're one of the favorites to win this whole thing, they're the 3rd biggest favorite in this round out of all these matchups, because of USA, Canada, DR. DR is actually the biggest favorite against South Korea right now. But like, that's where we are with Japan and Venezuela. And by the way, you can make a compelling case, and I probably would. Venezuela is the 4th best team in this tournament, and they're going to play the 1st or 2nd best team or 3rd best team. Like, they're they're the best underdog out of all these other teams who are underdogs in this round, and they would knock off the majority of them. And I think Venezuela is still good enough, despite their game against DR. I mean, it's a 2-run game. They're capable of beating anyone in this tournament. Like, I could look up and see DR and Venezuela again in the final, and it wouldn't stun me that much, honestly.
No, absolutely not. And Venezuela's offense with Luis Ariz becoming Ken Griffey Jr.
He's been awesome in this tournament.
Yeah, this is where he comes to shine. I mean, he's been a good major leaguer, but he takes it to a whole different level once he plays with Venezuela. So he's going to be an offensive force and something that Japan's got to keep an eye on. As Venezuela finished 3-1, 6-2 over Netherlands, 11-3 over Israel, 4-0 over Nicaragua, and 7-5 that lost to Dominican Republic in the final matchup. What are some of the top moments to you of this tournament? I feel like there's just been so many good moments, from just, I guess, the atmosphere in Puerto Rico with the singing Mark Anthony Preciosa to
the home run.
The home run from Hernaiz.
For Hernaiz, yeah.
Yeah.
The home run from Hernaiz is one. And then like every celebration DR has after a home run.
Yeah.
I think it was Juan Soto who hit the home run for them to mercy rule the Netherlands. I think it was the Netherlands. I don't think it was Nicaragua. It was one of those first two games where he hit the home run to mercy rule, and they just bugged out. It was like in the 7th inning. They almost mercy ruled Israel too. Actually, the grand slam that Fernando Tatis had against Israel also, because he pimped the shit out of that one.
Yeah, there's just been so many good things to come out of this, for like Canada making it out of the pool for the first time.
Italy beating Team USA also.
Italy beating Team USA. The Vinny Pasquantino hitting 3 home runs the first time ever happening in the tournament. We mentioned the walk-off from Puerto Rico over Panama, but that Netherlands game against Panama where was it Ozzy Albies hit that game winner, and they were down, I think they were down, what was it, 3-1, was it? They were down,
so,
and they won 4-3.
And
that was awesome. And then when you go to Japan, that Chechnya pitcher, I think his name is Andrei Satoria.
He's like an electrician or something.
Yeah, he's an electrician, and he pitched, was it 4 to 5 shutout innings, striking out even Shohei Ohtani, and he gets the curtain call from
those are the best.
All the fans out there in Japan, and even Team Japan gave him a curtain call. I thought that was awesome. So, yeah, man, that was a lot of fun. Great to see such a great start to the tournament. And now we get to the quarterfinals, and let's kind of preview a little bit what these matchups are going to bring to us. I have the little graphic here of the teams left over. As you can see, tomorrow, Korea versus Dominican Republic at 6:30, followed by USA versus Canada. And I don't know, people are saying that they strategically, because there was no rule yet. If I bring back this other graphic of the tournament, let me bring this one up first, right? Here, at least it tells you when you get to the quarterfinals, it tells you Pool A versus Pool B, or right? Yeah, same thing with the other side. Once you get to the semifinals, there's no ruling on where these teams are going to play, how they're putting them there. So I've seen a lot of talk on X today about them specifically putting USA and Japan across from each other so that they would meet in the finals again.
I wonder how they're gonna redo this, but it does feel like the two winners from Friday play, the 2 winners from Saturday play. Like, that makes the most sense, because as we outlined earlier this week on my channel, there's a semifinal Sunday and then another one Monday, and then the championship Tuesday, which kind of sucks if you play Monday and then like you're on the back-to-back. Yeah. I know it's baseball and not basketball, so like the level of wear and tear is different, but not for the pitchers. So I kind of wish both of the semifinal games were on the same day, whether it's Sunday or Monday. And it probably should be Monday, and then the championship game be Wednesday or something like that. Like, I wish they kind of did it differently, and I wonder if that's going to have any effect. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. because in baseball, you're ultimately used to playing back-to-backs all the time. This is what you do as part of the sport. That being said, like if they just do the winners from the same day play each other, like yeah, you can get the DR Venezuela rematch if Venezuela beats Japan. You could also just get DR versus Japan or something else, USA versus Japan, as well as you mentioned, or one of these other teams that are underdogs, as we sort of predict what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean that seems to be the thing that's most sensible is you just take the 2 Friday games, the 2 Saturday games, and then go from there.
And the interesting thing too is that whoever wins that second game on Friday, yeah, they'll have the day off on Saturday, but they still have to travel from Houston to Miami. They have to have some travel that they have to do, not long,
Mm,
but still the
yeah.
fact that the team, like Korea and Dominican Republic, whoever wins that match, they're going to be fine sitting in Miami getting the day off, whereas USA Canada, whoever wins that to face them, now has to travel, have a travel day on top of that.
So maybe
So
that's the
that's going to
trade-off.
factor in as well.
Yeah. That's probably the trade-off then. That yeah. Um I This is where it really helps to have just a deep pitching staff. Like
Yeah.
ultimately is where we're at with it. Like that's what's going to be super important here. Is depth at every position really because hitting too, but depth in the pitching staff with the bullpen, and then also just being able to go to guys. And this is where some of the restrictions could play out. And I wonder
Hmm.
how flexible some of the guys are going to be there, and how choosy some of the deeper teams are going to be. Um, and I do wonder going back to PR, like, was that part of it? Did they punch their ticket and they were like, hey, because in hindsight, look, it may not mean anything because you and I were saying, hey, I know Team USA just lost to Italy, but matchup wise, USA is not a great matchup for PR because of the balance across the roster. Well, you don't win the group and you don't get to play them anyway. You get to play Italy and you're the favorite against them. That may mean nothing, right? But
Yeah.
we would agree they probably even though Italy beat the United States, I don't think anyone would say that they're better than Team USA. That they would win a World Series against Team USA necessarily. I think that PR landed a better matchup anyway. Same thing with maybe the United States. Like maybe getting Canada is better than PR's pitching and having to potentially deal with that with all the guys that we mentioned who are major league level, who obviously are capable of limiting USA's just sort of run output.
Yeah. No, it was just interesting to see these teams get mixed up after being on one side of the bracket for so long, but it may work out for, like you said, may work out for USA this way, may work out for Puerto Rico. The other four teams, Dominican Republic, Korea, Venezuela, Japan, I think you're just going to get some good high octane action between those four teams. And let's get to our predictions before we wrap up the show here. Our quarterfinal predictions. Let's go with that first matchup: Korea, Dominican Republic. Are we in a consensus that it's going to be Dominican Republic here? Any concerns with them facing Korea?
Only the pitching. Like if they, you don't want to mess around and allow too many runs, but I think they'll be fine. I expect them to. I don't know if they win by a ton, but I expect them to roll. And I think probably beyond even the semis. But for now, since we're going game by game, yeah, I think DR gets South Korea.
Do they score more than 10 runs?
I'm gonna say yes.
Hey, Korea doesn't have the best pitching, so they gave up. Let me see how many runs they gave up. Um, they've given up 4, 8, 5, 2. So
Who was the
yeah,
eight against?
the 8 was against Japan in the
Yeah,
loss to Japan.
yeah.
Um, and then they gave up 4 to Chechnya, 5 to Chinese Taipei, and only 2 to Australia. So I'm gonna say they keep it to under 10. I'm gonna
I'm gonna
go
say like
under
right
10.
at 10.
Yeah, maybe like 9, 8, something like that.
Yeah.
And I could see Korea scoring runs in this game as well. So this will be a test for DR's pitching, because the offenses for Nicaragua is not good. Netherlands is, I mean, it's just no comparison. It's more of a comparison to Venezuela, where they gave up 5 runs. So I think they'll be able to score at least 8 or 9 and hold off Korea to advance to the semifinals. The game 2, which is Canada versus the United States. The U.S. really needs this win. And I'm just like, they need it for the perception and the optics after what has been a kind of brutal 72 hours on social media and all of that stuff, to the fact where, like you said, some of, the United States fans are kind of turning on USA to being like, why are you here?
Not to mention other people who enter this tournament rooting against them for geopolitical reasons.
Yeah.
Not that they have anything to do with it as players, but you know how it is. I think and one would argue, do they need this? Because if they feel like they don't really want to be there like that, there's a world where they're just like whatever and check out. But I think ultimately pride and talent will kick in and they'll get it done. Canada's dangerous though, because when you're playing it, it's a 1-game sample.
Mm-hmm.
We watch March Madness, like in tournaments like this, we're in the knockout stage now. World Cup, these kinds of things, like upsets happen. And especially when it's a team that has nothing to lose. Canada can do whatever they want. Like this win will just make the tournament's already made now.
Yeah,
This
they've
was
already
just like,
won.
yeah, this is just like whatever, but they're not going to treat it as like, oh, we can do whatever, like we'll be fine, like we're just happy to be here. No, it's like we could throw caution to the wind and we can try shit and maybe it'll work. Like I think they're going to go all out and be like, you know what, like, yeah, let's try to get this one. It's USA, like, it's not a rival in terms of baseball specifically, but across sports, there is a USA Canada big brother, little brother type of rivalry. So I do think that, like, I'm looking at like Canada, for example, they're underdogs by 4.5 runs, and it's like on ability that makes sense. But if Canada's as loose as I think they'll play, and they have some talent, like Josh Naylor exists,
Yep.
you know what I
Naylor
mean?
brothers.
Like if we talked about Soroka as well, like
Toro.
yeah, Toro also, like they have Denzel Clark also at center field. Like, I think Canada can actually keep this close. I'm still gonna say Team USA wins, but I'm optimistic about the efforts Canada will put forth, if nothing else.
Yeah, I kind of hoping for the upset. I love upsets. Forget
I do
about
too.
nations playing each other and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But it'd be cool to see just the upset, and then there's just more to come out of the upset, right? Like we won't stop hearing about it. Mark DeRosa is definitely not going to stop hearing about it if they lose on MLB Network. He'll hear it for days, or maybe they'll just cut the clip out like they did for his comments on the show. Like they just like deleted the clips on social media and YouTube. So maybe they'll do something like that. But third game Saturday at 3 p.m. Italy versus Puerto Rico. Man.
We just had the same reaction.
I want to be the homer for this, man. The pitching, right? Like pitching's supposed to win games, right? And this is a true test for Italy to see if their offense is legit. Because they have not really faced like serious pitching. Like USA has good pitching, right? But they threw Nolan McLean out there, who's only has 10 games under his belt in the major leagues.
He's a kid.
He's still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the rest of the team's pitching have not been great. So you're finally going to get a legit staff to be thrown at you. And if they could beat Puerto Rico, man, more power to them. And I can see them probably continuing this run. But I'm gonna go with Puerto Rico on this one, man. I think that they can get this one. That this is the one that they'll get, because facing Japan is a whole different story.
Yeah, that's the house money game.
Yeah,
if you can get there. I wish you could play for third. They should have a third place game for this. I really believe that. I love that World Cups they have third place games. That matters. Like having a bronze medal, so to speak, that matters. That being said, this is a head says Italy, heart says Puerto Rico situation
Hmm.
for me, because I just maybe I just watched this team and I need to see more, and I'm too like invested. I don't love that they're, albeit very slightly, betting favorites like -120, Italy +100, and I'm just like, oh god, bro, I'm gonna say Puerto Rico. I'm not gonna not say us. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, there have been times where I'm like, man, I just don't know. And then, like for example, in basketball, they had an Olympic qualifying tournament in 2024. They beat Mexico, Italy, and Lithuania. They were underdogs in two of those games. They beat Italy and Lithuania to qualify for the Olympics. And in baseball, I thought they were going to lose the Panama game. It was 2-1 in the ninth, and I'm like, I'm mother effing the TV. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They can't be Panama. The insurance, and then they get the walk with the bases loaded by the skin of their teeth. And then extra innings, we get the amazing home run. And it's like, whew, you escape Panama. So I haven't been inspired by the offense. I think it's capable of more. The pitching has been great. Can it sustain itself? I'm gonna say them. I'm not gonna say that I'm the most confident, nor am I gonna say, hey, go out and bet on them. Like they're absolutely gonna do
Yeah, no,
this. You know.
no,
I also want
absolutely
to see
not.
who's starting for Italy. I want to see that too. We don't seem to have that
Yeah,
yet
we don't know who's starting
as
for
of the
Italy
time we're
just
talking
yet.
about
You
this.
said
Yeah.
Seth Lugo, as of right now, is penciled in.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and they're the only team apparently that doesn't have a starter that is at least popping up right now at the time we're talking about this. Everybody does except the Italian team. And look, maybe it might not matter that much, but still, I would like to know who's going to be there for maybe the first 2-3 innings.
Of course, yeah. That's where Puerto Rico struggled the most in those early innings. So uh, let's hope that Yadi Molina is managing and the pitching staff can come through here and get at least one game where we get more than 5 runs, 5, 4, 4, and 3. Like that,
Yeah.
they've scored. I think they've scored the least runs out of the teams that are now in the quarterfinals. So,
Oh my god.
yikes.
Against Colombia and Panama too. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think Italy's pitching is amazing, but still, like that's not great. I don't feel great about this. Just get
yeah,
back into the semis. Just get
yeah,
back into the
yeah.
semis.
Just get
That's
back
it.
into the semis, especially with that roster and that group. Just get back into the semis, man.
Yeah.
The game 4 will be Japan versus Venezuela. This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one because it could go either way. I have to go with the champions until proven otherwise. Until they are beaten, I gotta go with Japan. Venezuela will give them a fight, I think, but Japan is just so disciplined, so well organized, and they're throwing Yamamoto out there again, and he's been one of the best pitchers in postseason play. So I think that they win this one. I don't know if they win moving forward because Yamamoto's done after this, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Japan.
I want to pick one underdog. But I
You
don't want
did
to
Puerto
do
Rico
I
in reality.
it wouldn't be surprising if that flips between now and Saturday.
Mhm.
If like people are like, "Pff, no, Italy should win this," and then all of a sudden the odds flip, and then it's like, yeah, like that. I'm kind of waiting to see, and I'll be tracking that over the next day and a half, roughly, just to see if that happens, because it could happen. I really like Venezuela just as a team, but Japan is Japan, man. Like it's just hard to pick against them. Like I would pick Venezuela legitimately against everybody in this round except Japan and the Dominican Republic. I think they could beat Team USA. I don't think they'd be favored for that game, but I would be like, oh, I'm taking Venezuela. Like they're gonna care about this so much more. They have
Mhm.
electric hitting. They have enough pitching. They could start with Ranger Suarez. Like I think you can make a convincing case there to, and they're a worse fourth best, which we knew coming into it, but you could say even like they're the third best maybe. And the way that they rallied back against DR and nearly came all the way back was something to watch. Especially against who I think has the best lineup in this tournament right now is DR. And to me, I don't want to over-index on that one game, but I think they're capable of beating Japan. I really do. I really do. They're not like super big underdogs either, by the way. It's like plus 145. That's like
Yeah.
that's not nearly as dramatic as the USA, Canada, Dominican Republic, South Korea gap. I'm still gonna be a coward and say Japan as much as I'm talking about Venezuela, because I swear, like if
They're the champs.
they were playing anybody but Japan or DR, I'd be like, yeah, they're gonna win this. But you made a great point about Japan's just discipline, starting with Yamamoto, having Otani in the lineup and everybody else. Like it's just like I don't know how to pick against some guys, man.
It's hard. It's hard. But I will say this: I wouldn't be shocked if it's DR Venezuela in the final, and that's
Me
going to be
neither.
fun. That would be fun.
I would
That
love
would be
that.
a lot of fun, just as much as the pool play was. That would be a lot of fun.
I would love that. That would be other than PRDR, that'd be my favorite outcome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you for coming on and doing this. Let everyone know what you got, what you're working on, all the socials and all that stuff.
Well, I'm about to be on Bucket's Action Network podcast in about 30 minutes, so you could check me out there. But otherwise, I have my own show on my channel. Ant's been there a couple of different times, and he'll be back also. We're actually going to do a World Baseball Classic watch along for the championship on Tuesday night. We do live shows on Tuesday, and we do other stuff throughout the week. And yeah, I cover basketball, I cover boxing, cover baseball, and other sports and sports business things. So follow me on social, and let's go Puerto Rico. Let's see what they can do.
I hope they come through. A shout out to Carlos Ortiz. Appreciate you for tuning in, being a part of the show. That's going to wrap it up here. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. Follow me personally at Ant Rivera 86. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But if you want to be a part of the chat and conversation, you're doing that on YouTube. We'll be back for what will be recapping the quarterfinals and looking into the semifinals on Sunday morning. But that wraps it up here for WBC TV, for Anthony Rivera, for Brian Fonseca. Thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy the quarterfinals of the WBC that start tomorrow.